Hi, Kelly Bowen here, and I want to share something with you that's really cool. And to be honest, it took me 2 years to actually get what this meant. However, now that I get it and now that I understand it at this deep level, it has profoundly changed my life and profoundly changed the ease and grace in which I create with and go after and achieve my goals. Because until I got this, my life was absolute chaos. So I would have a goal and I would focus on the goal and I would often achieve the goal, but at the same time, I would be creating this chaos mess that I would need to go back and clean up. And I guess what that really looked like is I was falling in love, and at the same time I was having a fight with my best friend that had us not talk for 6 months. I would finally get ahead financially, and then my cat would randomly get hit by a car and there would go all of my savings. Or I would, even when this has been happening all my life, like win a world title about 12 months later, from that peak high, my whole life falls apart. Or things like always leaving things to the last minute, even when I know I've got ample time to get things done. And because I didn't understand what I was about to share with you now, and I didn't realize I was running my life living in a dysregulated nervous system, the way it had me create is, yes, I was great at achieving my goals, but at the same time I'd be creating polarizing experiences that were the complete opposite of what I was trying to experience. So even when it was like living in a dichotomy of extreme highs, like I'd have all this like bliss and abundance on one hand, and then I'd have all of this like mess and chaos. And I'm like, how do I keep doing this? And what it comes down to is that for so many of us, and we don't even realize, we're living from our defense mechanisms. And when I'm talking about defense mechanisms, I'm talking about your nervous system's response to, let's say, life experiences that your body or nervous system is receiving as danger, causing dysregulation in your nervous system. So what does that mean from a manifestation perspective, or what does this mean from a creating abundance perspective? Essentially is your nervous system energy is your life force energy. So if it's spending time or it's busy trying to manage things that it thinks are a threat, you have leaky energy going out one way, creating the chaos and the mess. At the same time, you've got your conscious focus energy going into what it is that you're wanting to create. And the key to having smooth, flowful manifestations is understanding what are your tells, how do you know that your nervous system has become dysregulated, and also knowing how to bring it back into regulation so that you can create smoothly and with grace and have a really smooth path between where it is that you are right now and what it is that you're wanting to create. And essentially, it all comes back down to safety. And when you can create safety and calm and peace within your nervous system, that's where the magic happens. And I know that sounds really simple, because in practice, it's not that simple, and you're going to face off with aspects of yourself that sometimes you don't even know you have, and sometimes it feels like you're dying 1,000 deaths, and sometimes it's just really good to let go of that baggage. So, and the other thing too, when you're going through this process, when you look at how you create, if you do find that you've been creating in a way where you're experiencing really great stuff, but chaos all at the same time, and when you start to bring stability and safety into your nervous system, it can literally feel like boredom. Like crazy bored, I would rather watch paint dry. And then what happens if you don't catch it in that moment and realize that what you've done, you've brought safety and security and stability to your nervous system. If you get fooled by the boredom, it's your nervous system going, hey, this feels completely foreign. We need to go back to that chaotic state so that it feels normal and safe. Because the truth in how we create is we always go back to what's familiar. So what I want to do is take you on a deep dive with me, and we're going to go through what are the 4 F defense mechanisms. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, check out Pete Walker's work. He is phenomenal in this space. We are looking in, this is where we're starting to move into the trauma space and how our life experiences shape our nervous systems and then how we interact in the world. So we're going to go through each one. We're going to have a look at what the fight defense mechanism is, what it is when it's healthy and regulated, what it looks like when it's dysregulated and what are some of the behavioral tells. So if you start finding yourself doing some of these behaviors, you can implement the strategy to bring regulation back to your nervous system. And we're going to do the same for fight, freeze, and fawn. And then from there, you'll be able to have a really great map of how your nervous system is communicating to you what's going on, so you can help create that flowful space within your creation, and you're not finding like you're going 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So let's have a look at the first one. This is going to go through fight, and then in the coming videos, you'll find the others. So a fight style defense mechanism. So essentially, if you find this is your go-to, what this means is when you get overwhelmed by whatever's going on in your life, this is your unconscious response to what's going on. So essentially, if the fight defense mechanism is unregulated, it's in the belief that control equals connection and rage will create safety. It's in its essence, this is a narcissistic style defense mechanism. Now, please don't go labeling, like if you do have this, please, you're not a narcissist. It's just simply a style of behavior. And as we go through it, and I share like what are some of the tells when this starts to get activated and your nervous system starts to become dysregulated, you'll be able to catch it before it gets to the point that I like to call the horses have bolted and you have a complete nervous system hijacking, and it's literally like you lose control. So the point of sharing this is so that you can kind of identify if any of these characteristics are there, so you can catch it before the horse bolts and bring that nervous system regulation back and create safety in your nervous system and in your body, so you've got that smooth path towards what it is that you're wanting to create. So when the fight style defense mechanism is regulated, it actually brings some really beautiful qualities. So it'll bring courage, leadership, you'll be able to hold healthy boundaries, you'll know that you've got your own back, you'll feel really confident in what you're doing, you'll have that determination and grit to get things done. And you'll also have that resilience of where things don't quite work out, you'll be able to get back up and keep going with it. It's really, this particular defense mechanism, when it's healthy, is amazing, is beautiful, and absolutely has its place. However, when it gets dysregulated and it takes over, this is where it can cause the damage. Same with all the different style defense mechanisms. And with the fight defense mechanism, I feel for these guys, because when their nervous system gets dysregulated, essentially what they're wanting is connection, and the way that some of these behaviors come out, it literally polarizes, pushes away from the very thing that it is that they're wanting to try and create for themselves. So when a fight style defense mechanism becomes dysregulated, here are some of the tells to help you identify what might be going on, and then we'll go through what it is to bring regulation. So it can be explosive. So let's just say, for example, things aren't quite turning out the way that you thought they would, or there just keeps being little things that go wrong. If this gets dysregulated, you could find yourself having explosive bursts of anger that are over-exaggerated to the situation. Or misplaced anger, where you get overly angry about something simple. Like, perfect example with this one is road rage, where somebody cuts you off and it just creates this like rah sort of experience, and it's really sort of out of context to what that experience was, because we don't know what was going on in that other poor person's world. They could have been rushing to get to a hospital, late for a really important meeting, who knows. The other big tell with this style defense mechanism is control. And again, remember, when this gets dysregulated, control equals safety, and it's always about creating safety. So if you find yourself becoming controlling with your thoughts, controlling in how you do things, controlling in your routines, controlling towards others in your life, this could be a sign that your nervous system is dysregulated and the opportunity to come back into regulation. Also, then this guy can be known as enslaving. Like, think about, there have been so many movies about this where you see like 1980s controlling, slave driving boss, your whole life is owned by the company, really exaggerated example, but you kind of get the point and the feel for what this guy looks like when they become dysregulated. Then entitlement. I want it now, I want it all now. Why isn't it happening fast enough? Like, next. Like, this is a really telltale sign that this guy has become dysregulated when they start getting entitled, like, I've been at this for 12 months, like, why aren't I getting the results in business that other people are that are 10 years into their journey? So as soon as like the entitlement starts to creep in, or like, why aren't people liking my posts? This is a big sign that the nervous system's becoming dysregulated. You've also got bullying, righteousness, demands perfection. Now, the key distinction here with a dysregulated fight defense mechanism is the demands for perfection aren't just internalized with themselves, it's also externalized onto anybody else in their world, that things need to be at a particular level, and if they're not, you will feel their wrath. And this goes as far as narcissistic behavior all the way through to narcissism, when this can be really dysregulated. And look, let's be honest, we all have elements of narcissistic behavior within it, and that does not make us a narcissist. But when this becomes really dysregulated, it can become quite apparent, the narcissistic behavior. Now, the belief behind this, if you do find yourself getting dysregulated, and some of these behaviors are, I guess, your tells or your go-tos, the belief that's really underpinning this and really driving this behavior, where the work and the healing needs to happen, is that power and control can create safety and love and avoid the abandonment that was felt in childhood. And because, let's face it, we're all big kids running around in grown-up bodies, and when we become dysregulated, it's the little kid that's showing up. So if you really want to pull this one out at the roots, that's the place to look at, and that's sort of like the box that the belief sits in. And once that gets healed, it'll be so much easier to have the nervous system regulation. However, if you do find yourself triggered and you do find yourself having some of these tells, here's a little strategy that'll really help bring some safety and regulation back to your nervous system. So the first one is remove yourself from the situation. Just turn off, get out, walk away from your computer, walk away from the situation, and then move your body. Because this is a fight energy, it's an aggressive energy, the body needs to get moved, like jump, do a boxing course, do a boxing class, or go for a run, do some exercise, something to get the body moving and something to move this energy through your body so that you can come back into a space of regulation. And then once this is processed, then you can start realizing that you are not your thoughts. And because this is the inner critic that's coming in, that's giving you a hard time, that's having it externalized. So once you've brought regulation back to your nervous system, that's when you can really bring your best self to whatever situation it is that's at hand, and show up powerfully and with love and create the desired outcome that you're after. So essentially, this is the fight defense mechanism in a nutshell, with its beautiful pros and cons. So if you do find yourself in any of the tells, whether you find yourself becoming overly controlling about something, or getting frustrated and little bursts of anger sneaking out, this is your opportunity to catch it before you have a complete nervous system hijacking, and bring power back to your manifestations. Because when you are in control of your nervous system energy, this is when you can move towards what it is that you're wanting as quickly and as most directly as possible. However, when it gets dysregulated, that's when you get the chaos with it. So being able to catch it puts the power back in your hands.